What's up, everyone, and welcome to the 90s First Show, where we talk about 90s media and the things that we love. Join Joe, Justin, and myself, Mike, as well as the occasional special guest, as we talk about the movies and shows that we love the most. If you would like to support us, please share, subscribe, and leave a review. Now, enjoy the show. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the 90s First Show, where we chat about the 90s content that we've been watching. My name is Mike, and I'm alongside my co-host,
Justin.
There you go.
Or the duck.
So Justin, it's good to see you here. How you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. I've had a great day, and I'm ready to discuss what 90s content I've been consuming. And I know we can't stop doing it. We choose to go back
Yeah.
because, original designs are always the best.
Sure thing. That's why I go. Listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. We're really trying within the next couple months here to push our Patreon. So our Patreon is patreon.com/the90sfirst. Please go take a look at it. As little as $1 a month, you could support us to bring you guys this content. Me, Jelly, Justin, as well as Cicero from the Test Your Might side, we are talking about some certain goals. Like if we get like 10 or 20 patrons, we might be doing some more Patreon exclusive content for you. So we're definitely trying to push that just to kind of continue to grow that. So make sure you check us out at the 90s First, patreon.com/the90sfirst, and check that out. For as little as $1 a month, you can support us. It's all general support right now. No content specific stuff for Patreon just yet. We're going to be switching up our goals here soon and hopefully bringing you guys some content on there. So as well as on our socials, follow us at the 90s First on everything, and as well as subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are trying to get to 100 subscribers so that we can simply say go to youtube.com/the90sfirst instead of youtube.com/YZAW1237, all that jazz. So would really appreciate if you hit that subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube. If you're not watching on YouTube and just listening to us, still, I would appreciate going to our YouTube channel down in the show notes so that you can subscribe. Without further ado, thank you for letting me do some housekeeping, Justin. We have brought our own specific 90s content to discuss here today. What do you got for us?
I've watched two movies, childhood favorites of mine. One of them is a comedy. The other is a drama/comedy, I guess. It was more of a drama side for me. I'll talk about The Mask first. One of Jim Carrey's classics. The Mask, phenomenal. It's got Cameron Diaz in it. I wouldn't recommend it for children. I watched it as a child, but watching it again, you see those things that kind of go over your head as a kid. And it's a fantastic film. Comedy, action, creativity. It feels like a comic book put into a movie. And the Mask character, Jim Carrey, played it so well back in his prime. And haven't seen him act like that since, even with Sonic, the new Sonic, he did a fantastic job in that. But that Ace Ventura-ish, comedy role that he used to play and fill that void in Hollywood, and I feel like it was really good. Iconic scenes from dancing with police officers to pulling out a million weapons out of his pockets and throwing dummy bullets at people. It's great. How about you? You remember that movie?
I am a huge fan of The Mask. Like that era of Jim Carrey is just so almost iconic, right? Like that was just his stuff, Ace Ventura, Mask, just like, oh man, just I love that era of Jim Carrey. Even the Truman Show, throwing that in there. And we've covered the Truman Show on the 90s First, so go check out that episode. But The Mask, I think it's one of his best. To me, I personally I think my favorite movie of Jim Carrey's might be Bruce Almighty, if I'm thinking about it. But
Okay.
like The Mask is like just right underneath it, like so close.
Okay.
Um, it's just it's such a phenomenal movie. I haven't watched it in so long, but you like even to the jawline moving like this, you just like you can remember Mask
Yeah.
just. And
Yeah.
I think it had really good villain as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, just overall, I love The Mask. Really good soundtrack too. I love that jazz intermission there where he shows up at the jazz concert or the
Oh yeah.
the party or
Turns into the
whatever.
wolf. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And just like the music is so good in that movie too. What else
Yeah.
you
One
got
of
on
the
it?
things. One of the things that I picked up on, which I wouldn't have ever picked up as a child, was when he goes to the guy that displays masks and talks about masks on people, and everyone wears a mask. He explains the mask that he's using, throughout the film, and he mentions Loki as the trickster god from the Marvel.
Really?
Yeah, and I was like,
Well,
wait, really?
from Norse mythology,
From Norse mythology, but
not the Marvel universe.
from nowadays Marvel universe. Uh, and I'm like, so Loki's in the mask, and that's the trickster god playing the role of the mask when Jim Carrey's behind that. And I was like, wow, to see Loki even back then doing something crazy, not the same one we know nowadays, but of course from Norse mythology, and to see him kind of filling the same kind of aesthetic that we have nowadays,
Yeah.
of just being a terrible person but also funny doing it. I really enjoyed it, and I didn't pick up on that obviously as a child, but now I'm like, wow, just the backstory that they have even in this film that's supposed to be a comedy. It was
Yeah.
phenomenal.
hmm And Jim Carrey does it good, really well. Cameron Diaz is amazing in it. I forget who is the
The villain.
yeah, what's his name?
I know what he looks like.
I know exactly what he looks like. He has like a perfect jawline. It's ridiculous. I'm looking it up, listeners. All
um,
right, so
Ryan
it's not Ryan Reynolds. It's Peter Green. Peter
Yeah,
Green played
he
Dorian.
seems like a mafia kind of guy, and he plays it well throughout the entire film, of being kind of like a gang boss, of
Yeah,
baddies. And
yeah, and
when he
he
puts,
was in Pulp Fiction, and some others, but like yeah,
yeah,
you just like his face, and like when you think of that person's face, you think of The Mask. Like you don't
mhm,
think of Pulp Fiction. Like I
no,
feel like he has an iconic villain look. Like
yeah,
just like
even when he puts the mask on, you can see that defining look on,
yeah,
completely
yeah,
different from the rounded look of Jim Carrey. It's squared off and it looks evil. His eyes are different, and he just has an iconic evil, bad guy vibe even when wearing the mask. And I'm like,
yeah.
yeah, he plays a great villain.
So there is a romance story in the movie. Does that work for you? Like
It's cluttered within the comedy. It's on the low end of a romance for me. It's
yeah,
kind of like, just like, here's some filler, here's some like little bit of tidbits of other kind of genres thrown in. Really, for me, it was more of the comedy element that
yeah.
I enjoyed more.
I think just the romance element brings the hero element into it, right? Like
Yeah,
here's just like this Mario guy, trying to save his princess from the big
yeah,
bad Bowser, basically. And yeah, the mask is just so iconic. Like again, it's one of Jim Carrey's best roles. It's probably
mhm,
it's my second favorite behind Bruce Almighty. And then having watched the Truman Show as recently as last year, like that's up there as well. But yeah, Mask is wonderful. Go watch it. Let me let me look up here really quickly where you can watch it. If you do not have access to it, so doesn't look like it's available on any streaming service right now.
Yeah, I
So
believe it's. I bought it through Vudu. Um, I believe it came out in 4K, and I grabbed it in a sale or something
gotcha.
because it's you could rent it on Amazon Prime for probably $3.99.
Yes, yeah,
For
but it
sure.
is not
Yep.
available like readily on a streaming service. But
No.
definitely, a little PSA, a public service announcement. Use your local libraries; they probably have a copy.
Yeah. Oh,
So
100%. 100%. They've
100%,
got one.
yeah, definitely take a look at that. So, Justin, you had another one you wanted to bring up that you recently watched.
Yeah, this was one that really tugged at my heartstrings as a child, and I shouldn't have been watching it as well. It's called My Girl, and it's an older film. It's got Macaulay Culkin in it. That's
Yeah.
the most memorable character you'll have in it, honestly. And then you've got Jamie Lee Curtis in there as well. It's the coming of age story of a daughter who is the daughter of a mortician, and some stuff happens. She doesn't deal with death very well. She doesn't deal with loss very well at all, and there's a lot of sadness in the film
Hmm.
in regards to Macaulay Culkin, and I really enjoy it. It's a good film. It teaches you lessons along with a great kind of like mini romance between the lead daughter and Macaulay Culkin,
Yeah.
uh, which is really good. It's considered a chick flick, I guess, if you want to consider it that, because it is a coming of age story for a daughter. But it has great lessons in it, and it was a
Mhm.
fantastic film. And if I'm not afraid to admit I'll cry during it because it's phenomenal when it comes to the tear jerking.
You should never be afraid to admit you cry.
Yeah, never.
True man. Anyway, My Girl, I've never seen it, but I do recollect starting it with Heather because my wife. I do remember my wife mentioning this movie and actually enjoying it and watching it all the
Hmm.
time when she was a kid. So
Yeah.
maybe it's something that I'll bring up with her. But yeah, My Girl. This was Macaulay Culkin's like second movie. Home Alone was actually before this one.
Yeah.
So
Completely different film. His
yeah,
character is not as strong-willed as he's much more fraidy cat in this film.
yeah,
And you can see even as a young age he was acting very well.
yeah,
If you do a parallel between Home Alone and this,
yeah.
completely different standards.
And speaking of Home Alone, we will probably be doing a special on the original Home Alone and the new one that just came out on Disney Plus.
Mhm.
So we'll probably talk about the original. I haven't told you nor Jelly that, so I just thought it'd be a cool piece of
Um,
content to watch the original and then review the reboot on Disney Plus. So
yeah, I literally watched the original about a month ago,
yeah,
and I'm down to watch it again because it's just as good
it's
as I
phenomenal.
remember. Yeah,
All right, Justin. Well, so are you a fan of Batman the Animated Series?
of course. Yeah,
Oh, okay. Well, we're not talking about that today. I mean,
we're talking about the better one, right?
no, we're not. But we are talking about um, a similar one. So,
Okay. Okay.
so yeah, Justin and I decided to take a dive into the Superman animated series.
So it is the
And
better one. Yeah.
no, it's not. So
I-
yeah, so full disclosure, I have never watched the Superman animated series like front to back.
Okay.
Obviously caught episodes here and there,
Hmm.
but I was growing up, at least I was never really a huge fan of that over Batman. I was way more of a Batman fan and still am. I mean, I definitely respect Superman a lot more now that I've sat down and have had conversations with friend of the show like Chris Clow, who's a huge defender of Superman and have read some of his comics and stuff. Like Superman, I got really hard into the New 52 era of Superman, and that was a lot of fun reading that. So um and also like I've actually liked his films recently. Like Man of Steel to me was a fun
Really?
movie.
You like that?
Yeah, I like Man of Steel. I think Henry Cavill did a really good job, but we'll get we'll get a little bit into that here in a second. But so the animated series, I watched the first three, and then a little bit of the fourth episode, and um, Justin, disagree with me if you would like, or agree with me. I'm sure you will, but I think this is one of the best origin stories of Superman. The recap, obviously, of his origin story. Listeners, if you don't know, the first three episodes of this are part 1, 2, and 3, and it's called The
Mhm.
Last Son of Krypton. And so it's kind of like a little mini origin story of Superman and who he is, why he's on Earth, and obviously, I feel like I don't have to explain most of this, but
Yeah.
still, yeah, Last Son of Krypton comes back. The second episode is like his teenage years, kind of before he becomes an adult. And then the third episode, he's like a full-fledged Superman. It's like his first mission out, and he's first meeting Lois Lane and stuff like that. So yeah, Justin, what's your experience with the animated Superman series?
I'm the other half of the yin yang. So I believe that the Superman, Mike and I are opposites when it comes to favorites. Superman is my favorite, and Batman is Mike's favorite. Uh, for the animated
As
series,
far as DC goes, by the way,
as far as
listeners.
DC goes, yes,
Yes. Uh-huh.
true, true. Uh, for the animated series, in my opinion, Batman is the better animated series. I believe that it holds up better. The voice acting is better, and the animation is slightly better as well. For the statement you
It's the
said
same
about
it's the same animation, so I'll push back on that. But
mm,
the aesthetic of Gotham is a lot more appealing to me.
okay,
So
in the aspect that you said that it was the best backstory, nothing will ever take Smallville off that pedestal for me. But in regards to the trip from Krypton to Earth, that aspect I like. That you're able to see that opposed from just landing and then Lois, or not Lois, but the Kents finding
hmm.
Clark. Uh, I think that Smallville is much much better.
I don't
From a
know.
standpoint of
Smallville's kind of drawn out 10 seasons. You get the whole story here in 3 20-minute episodes.
yeah, but it's also rushed because
I
they
don't
don't
think it's
want to
rushed.
focus. They don't want to focus on that childhood stuff. They don't want to focus on him learning the abilities. They want to get to the meat and potatoes, as Jelly would say. They want to get to Superman because it's Superman the animated series. Smallville is based on Smallville, Kansas. It's about the childhood. So it's taking that second episode and just going bam with it. For listeners, big explosion, uh, big bada boom.
Bam.
Yeah. Emerald Lagasse, bam. Like I think that I enjoy Smallville much better. I think that even though you may say it's drawn out, I feel like it transitions very well throughout the entire series to growing into the Superman character. And it takes a long time to get through, but it's well worth it to see
No, I
him
mean,
grow into.
I love Smallville. I love Smallville. So I mean, but I almost was I almost wasn't considering that, mainly because of how quick and concise this was.
Yeah.
Like Smallville is, yo, this dude is growing up, like, and for 10 seasons, um, and whereas this is just like, yeah, you're true. You're right in saying that they do want to get to. I mean, this is the adventures of Superman that they want to cover. And
Yeah.
he's not Superman just yet. And so, but I just think in its short form and its three-part
Yes.
start, like it does a really really phenomenal job in
It
doing that.
I will agree. It in the abridged version, pretty much of Superman's childhood and then into his role as Superman, they
Yeah.
did the best they possibly could with that animated
Mhm.
series.
Yeah, and like especially in that's in stark contrast to Batman the animated series. They didn't do an origin story
No.
in Batman the animated series. They just went guns blazing into the Batman
Mhm.
stories. And they did also in the Batman animated series, they didn't really build up to like having Robin as a sidekick. No, he just shows up in one of the original like first 5 episodes. He just shows up. They don't give a backstory to that, which is why it's kind of cool that I'm gonna stick with the Superman series. I'm gonna watch. I think I'm gonna watch a good amount of it because it seems like it is even more serialized than the Batman animated series. Like you at the end of the third part, you get Superman talking to Lex Luthor saying, "Hey, I'm watching you." And like so
Yeah.
I believe they're just going to continue these storylines and story beats throughout the whole series. And so yeah, I think it's a great show. Maybe this is a debate that we could get into later, but DC has always kicked butt in animated. Just
Yeah.
just light years ahead of Marvel.
Even nowadays.
Yeah, no, even nowadays, like Marvel does have good animated stuff, but at the end of the day, DC has always been the king of the animated series as well as movies. So, anything else to say on Superman the animated series?
No, I do recommend getting through it. Maybe it'll sway your view and you'll choose it over Batman.
I won't. I never will. I believe Batman is the better fictional character, but that is for another day, listeners. And then it is on HBO Max if you do want to watch it. And they also just recently released the whole series on Blu-ray. So if you do want to get a physical copy of the Superman animated series, it is just released on Blu-ray. So maybe go check that out as well. All right. Let's get into a little bit of news that I wanted to cover, and it does relate to Superman. So I'm just gonna roll it right in. And that is that Henry Cavill is quoted that he still wants to continue playing Superman because he does not believe that his time and his story as the Man of Steel is up. And so, first of all, let's get your overall thoughts, Justin, on Henry Cavill as Superman specifically. And then, do you think he should continue?
Out of all the actors that played Superman, obviously I have bias towards Smallville, but for the movie scene, I believe that Man of Steel was the best representation. You
Even
saw
over the original Christopher Reeves and the Richard Donner cut?
I do think so. I do think so. As like the same with Batman, you would have the Dark Knight trilogy that is up there above Michael Keaton for me, and that's just a preference. It's just what you feel the most connected to, and I feel like Man of Steel had the emotion and the character drawn, like the character drawn the way that it was properly supposed to be done. And I feel like he did a great job in Man of Steel. So I'd be down to see him play that, fill the tights again. And I think that
tights.
Yeah, I think he would do a good job flying again. And we can see if they do it, and hopefully it's not a Snyder cut that we get 4 years later, and we get the actual film the way it's supposed to be done properly the first time. Personally, a lot of people didn't like Man of Steel because of the brute force that he had towards the lead enemy.
General Zod,
towards the end. And I feel like, he's a good person and he has to do what he has to do to get everyone safe. That's what he did, and I'm okay with it. I thought it was a great representation of Superman.
I haven't watched Man of Steel in a while, but I will always defend it. I thought it was a good story. Obviously, Superman is a tried and true story, right? So, I mean, they just kind of recreated it. And I think Zack Snyder did a decent job in Man of Steel. Now, you after Man of Steel, you go into Batman vs Superman. I'm personally a defender of that movie. Aside from Doomsday.
Okay.
I do believe that if they marketed that film differently and didn't say that it was Batman versus Superman, change of title, like even, I think it would
Mm-hmm.
have been received a lot better.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I think Henry Cavill, between those two films, and then as well as Justice League was a fun time. Like even the Josh Whedon cut, Zack Snyder cut was definitely better. It was long, and I don't like the aspect. I don't like the aspect ratio
4:30.
he chose. But regardless, like Henry Cavill was always a bright spot in all those films, and so
Mm-hmm.
I really hope that he does get another chance. We'll see. I do know Warner Brothers has there's rumors that the next film is going to be a black Superman, so we'll see what they do with that. But I do think Henry Cavill does deserve another shot at the Man of Steel. So, all right, Justin, I'm letting you take the reins on this. There's a certain '90s movie sequel that started filming.
Oh
Talk about
yes,
it, man.
it
Talk about
did.
it.
Yes, it did. I shared a link with Mike here and with Jelly about this because I saw this on my Facebook, and Hocus Pocus 2 has started filming, and a lot of the pictures are of the town, of a theater, Sarah Jessica Parker hiding behind umbrellas, uh, original cast. Just to see Sarah Jessica Parker in the outfit, even though it was blurred imagery, uh, it's magical to see that again. And I can't wait. It's going to be a while, and fans are going to go crazy, I'm sure. It's got a huge
Fall
fan.
2022, man. It's not that long, man.
I know. I've got the book, and I'm starting to go through it, the sequel storyline, and I'm just so glad they have the same actress coming back, like the original cast. That's
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah, it's really cool that they're rebooting that for for the tried and true fans. I don't think I've ever seen Hocus Pocus Hocus Pocus from front to back. So I'm gonna have to
We
do
should do a
that.
Disney watch party. That's what we should do.
Yes, that'd be fun. So, but yeah, that did start filming. And then really quickly, listeners, just some crazy announcement from Disney Plus Day today, that you can look forward to us covering in the future. They are continuing the storyline of the '90s X-Men TV series.
Jeez.
And they're bringing it back with the original voice actors.
Wow.
Yeah, so we will definitely be covering that once it does come. It's not coming until 2023. So
Got
there
some time on
is,
our
yeah, there is a new Spider-Man animated series that is coming that is part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and we'll probably cover that along with a look back at the '90s original animated series, which is one of my favorites of all time. And Isaac, if you're listening to this, we'll definitely have you on that episode, just because I know how big of a fan of Spider-Man you are. So. Um, There is, let's see here. I'm trying to pull it up here. Sorry, listeners. There is a lot of Disney stuff happening
yeah.
today. Hocus Pocus was one of them that they did go ahead and kind of announce today as well. But yeah, there's some other things that we might be looking into. It's certainly something where we love doing those special episodes where we review the '90s content and then the newer content. So stay tuned for all of that. Okay. So with that being said, we do not have trivia at all. So why don't we just end it with a quick segment of what have you been up to, Justin?
um, Playing a lot of games, grinding through games. Far Cry 6, GTA came out, and Forza Horizon 5 came out. I am at like 94% completion on Far Cry 6. I raced to finish it. Enjoyed every moment. I just want to say it's the best Far Cry I've ever played. And we used to play Far Cry 3 back in the day. The best storyline that I've ever played. So much so that I'm listening to the soundtrack while driving around in real life. And the actor, the lead actor of the villain,
Giancarlo Esposito.
Yeah. Moff Gideon, or from Breaking Bad, him. He plays a great villain. Not many games in my lifetime have given me chills while playing.
Castillo. How come you have played Far Cry and I know the actor and I also know the character's name?
Well, I know the character's name, but I didn't know the actor. But what I'm saying is not many games in my life have given me chills throughout my entire body when finishing storylines. BioShock is one of them. Phenomenal game as well. But this game did it, and it was phenomenal. The story was very good, very well directing. You felt the hit of the characters when things happen. I definitely recommend it. Xbox, wherever you need to play it, $60. The season pass is coming out, and that's going to be even more fun. You're going back into the minds of the villains from previous games in roguelike kind of gameplay, I guess. It's going to be interesting. But this one was phenomenal. I 5 out of 5 for me for Far Cry 6. Of course, there's bugs, like always. Ubisoft doesn't get everything, but once you get to the meat and potatoes, it's phenomenal. You play the story, you play the side missions, you feel the characters' emotions. Viva la revolution.
Well, cool. So you just been gaming. That's awesome. So I was able to so listeners, I'm a dad, as we've said before on the show. So is Justin. So sometimes I do have to take my content consumption in several different times. So,
5 minutes here, 10 minutes here.
Yeah. So I did finally get to finish Black Widow, which was a movie that I was looking forward to. I think it is how am I going to phrase this? I think it's an issue that it released in 2021. It should have released after Civil War. It should have been part of Phase 1. Or Phase 3, technically, I believe.
Yeah.
And yeah, but other than that, I think it's given me a slight bit of motivation to continue with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because honestly, it just brought me back to just like a good old fashioned superhero movie.
Okay.
Like one that I didn't really have to pay attention to, just like one that had, a run of the mill story, but regardless was still a fun and enjoyable watch.
Mm-hmm.
I do have some problems with it, but overall, like, I thought it was just fun. I think I'm going to miss Scarlett Johansson in the MCU. Like, I think she's a great Black Widow. The implications of this movie to the new series Hawkeye coming out, I'm really, really excited for. So we'll look forward to that. But overall, made me more excited to watch Shang-Chi. Hopefully I'll get to that this weekend. But yeah, I had a good time watching it. I think it's worth the watch. Again, I think it came out at the wrong time, but for the most part, definitely give it a shot. So, other than that, yeah, I've been playing games. I started the GTA 3 and the remaster, which is really, really crazy. The fact that I remember this map like the back of my hand is kind of nuts.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
but actually doing the story this time, right?
Yeah, I'm actually doing the story this time. But then, yeah, also hit up some Forza 5 as well. Haven't been doing much reading, but other than that, that's all I've been doing. So, Justin, got anything else to mention?
Other than video gaming and movie watching, D&D episode 1 of the Star Wars campaign has ended. The first episode out of, I believe there's 6 that our DM is creating. I self-sacrificed my character for the greater good at the end of this
Again?
one. That's my motive, you know. He said one of your characters are going to have to die for the greater good, and I volunteered instantly because that's what I do. And I had a chance to get out, and I just rolled poorly, so it is what it is. And
You
my
rolled poorly.
my Gungan Mandalorian is no longer with us, unfortunately. Misa gone now.
And on that note, listeners, once again, go ahead and check out our Patreon, patreon.com/the90sfirst, so that we can continue bringing these contents to you. And just really quickly, like just to explain, all those Patreon funds go towards upgrading things. Like the Patreon funds that we have now, like it's going to, we're looking on Black Friday to get me an internal SSD to help my computer out with all this stuff that I do. You know, so it goes back towards the content. We utilize the funds to buy movies, to buy TV shows, to buy those things that we don't have access to and stuff like that. And it also helps out Test Your Might as well, like to do giveaways, to do, you know, to buy games that we want to cover, stuff like that. So honestly, truly consider going and support us. Again, it's all general support right now. Stay tuned to our socials, which is at the 90s First on everything, so that when we do announce some stuff about Patreon exclusive stuff and goals like that, we'll definitely let you know. And so finally, leave a review on the show, share the show out. Honestly, reviews help podcasts so much. So it would be something that we would greatly appreciate if you do leave us a review. So without further ado, my name is Mike. That is Justin. And this has been the 90s First Show. And we'll see you later. Party on, Wayne.
Party on, Garth. Boy.